Go vote! Recuérdate de ir a votar el 3 de noviembre.
Go vote.
It is everywhere right now. It's on billboards, it's in the news, it's on t-shirts. Vote. But voting for the first time can be confusing, and voting in a pandemic can be intimidating. You might be asking yourself, is it safe for me to vote? Is mail-in voting an option for me? And if so, how do I make sure my vote is counted? It seems this year is giving us more questions than answers, but we are in this together, and we will figure it out together. That way, come November, all of our votes will matter. It's October of 2020, and citizens all across the country are gearing up for this year's election. Until Tuesday, November 3rd, Americans have the opportunity to vote for new district leaders, congressmen, and the President of the United States. Tensions grow between opposing views as yard signs go up and conflicting posts dominate timelines. But this year, instead of just fighting with one another, there's a new enemy: COVID-19. COVID-19 has affected the lives of everyone. Local businesses are struggling to stay open, people are being evicted from their homes, and many have lost their lives to the virus. It has affected large gatherings, forcing concerts, festivals, and sporting events to be canceled. But one thing that cannot be canceled or postponed is elections. That's why Oklahoma counties are taking steps to make sure every person who is an eligible voter feels safe to do so.
Well, we have several precautions that we're doing. We have electrostatic foggers that we are sending out. We will have 3 people that will travel from precinct to precinct throughout the day and hit each precinct at least 3 to 5 times during the day with those electrostatic foggers, just to kill any germs that are in the air. We have hand sanitizing stations. We have, we can't require people to wear masks, but we can request it. We can highly encourage it. And if those people who come in and they would rather wear a mask and they don't have one, we have one that we'll provide for them. So we're trying to go the extra mile to make sure that our voters are safe and our workers are safe.
There will only be a certain number of people allowed in a precinct at a time, and all surfaces that the public touches will be sanitized repeatedly throughout the day. All these precautions are in place to protect the voters, but the safest way to vote this year is by mail. In some states like Colorado, Hawaii, and Oregon, mail-in voting is done where the ballots are sent out to all the registered voters. That's not the case in Oklahoma. Here, absentee ballots have to be requested, and if you receive a ballot in the mail without requesting it, it's probably a fake. In Oklahoma, absentee ballots may be requested with no excuse. You just have to want one. October 27th, the Tuesday before the election, is the deadline to request a ballot, but it is highly encouraged to request as early as possible. You can request a ballot by visiting the Oklahoma State Election Board voting portal, or you can download the absentee request form. The absentee ballot forms are also available at all county election boards. All mail-in ballots must either have a photocopy of your ID or your notarized signature. These services are offered at most banks and credit unions for free. The election board keeps a list of all institutions that provide the services, which can be found on their website. The ballots must be at the election board by November 3rd at 7 p.m. to be counted.
There are confusion, and the sad thing is, if you do not do it correctly, your ballot cannot be counted. So another thing I would suggest, by getting your ballot early, if you are confused or you have questions, call your local election board.
Our system is as such that you can go online to the Oklahoma voter portal or go through our website to get there, and you can follow your absentee ballot. You can see when it's been mailed out and when we have received it back. So you can be secure in that knowledge of where your ballot stands.
And I know it feels like this has been said 1,000 times, but get your absentee ballots in as soon as possible. It takes longer to process a mail-in ballot than it does to process a ballot that is done in person. And this year, Rogers County is expecting their largest amount of absentee ballots ever. In the past, the largest number they had ever had requested was 3,100. This year, they already have 4,000 requests, and they expect that number to double by Election Day.
The election board workers have been working probably 8 hours a day in the last few days, just sending out the mail-in ballots that have been requested.
And because of the large increase in mail-in voting, some politicians have been sharing concerns that there will also be a larger amount of voter fraud. But Oklahoma has a very secure voting system. In 2016, there was only 19 cases of possible voter crime, and 17 of those were from attempted double voters. Votes that are cast twice are often caught.
If you request absentee ballot, then our readout sheets that we get for each place, it says on there, request absentee ballot. So if they come in and say if they don't have their ballot with them, that's not run through till we check and make sure it did not go through an absentee form.
Just to make sure that everything is clean and above board, we always take poll workers from different parties to make sure that we are maintaining the integrity of that ballot.
A real issue election boards are facing is a shortage of poll workers. Approximately 58% of poll workers in America are over the age of 61, and 27% are over the age of 70, putting the majority of them in the at-risk category for COVID-19. Because of this, many have decided to stay home, but some are returning and trusting all the extra precautions will keep them and voters safe.
They just want to make sure they had, the shields for protection and stuff, I have no problem with working it.
The Rogers County Election Board is currently making phone calls, sending emails, and using social media to call younger citizens to action. While they are still short on workers, Julie expects to have enough people by Election Day.
The community really came in. I mean, a lot more younger people, and I call them like, if you're 50, you're like a teenager in the election system, because it's hard for us to get that age group to come in and be part of things. So we're excited about the younger people stepping up and wanting to help.
Another way to vote is early voting. Rogers County will be having early voting at the Election Board in Claremore and at the Central Baptist Church in Owasso, October 29th and 30th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and October 31st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Well, now you may be wondering, who do I vote for? And that's normal. Sometimes it feels like everything's moving so fast that it's hard to keep up. But I have a simple solution. Go over to the Oklahoma voter portal, put in your information, and bring up a sample ballot. That way you can have a list of everyone and everything that you will be voting on. You can do some basic research, so that way, come Election Day, you have peace of mind that you are making the best decisions for our community.
So no matter how you choose to do it, absentee ballots, early voting, or to go in on the day of, make sure that your vote counts this year.